What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more George Kranz, and we're returning to My Rhythm 1984. Thank you again to Han Solo, not only for sharing his material, but introducing me to the world of George Kranz. And I noticed when I queued up the next track on the album, Is It Jazz, that the file size was incredibly small, so I just opened it and immediately paused it, and I found out it's less than like 45 seconds long. So clearly it's either an incredibly experimental song, and or it's an interlude, or maybe even a non-song, sort of arrhythmic piece or some experimental work. So yes, I've queued it up along with the next track, which is the US mix of Daa Daa, is that correct? And I wonder if I've heard that before, because the phrase sounded familiar. I know that Han Solo showed me a couple of videos of his before I did any audio reactions, but I searched in my YouTube studio and I've never reacted to a track called Daa Daa, so I'm assuming either I only heard it a while back, maybe as part of a video, or it's just one of those things where as a non-lyrical phrase, it just sounds like something that I may have heard as a melody or as a musical phrase. So yes, ultimately it's the US mix, so I don't know how this may vary in relation to some other version of this track, but yes, we're going to hear Is It Jazz, which, given how short it is, I wonder if that question can be answered in the affirmative. I guess we'll have to answer for ourselves, followed by Daa Daa US mix, which I would expect to be in his vocals playing parts that are normally done by instruments type of composition. So let's give them both a listen. This is George Kranz. The first track is It Jazz, followed by the US mix of Daa Daa.
Is it jazz?
No, it's funk.
Is it jazz?
So we have it answered for
No,
us.
it's funk, funk, funk.
Is it jazz?
No, it's funk.
Is it jazz?
No, it's funk, funk, funk.
Is it jazz?
No, it's funk.
Is it jazz?
No, it's funk, funk, funk.
Is it jazz?
No, it's funk.
Is it jazz?
No, it's funk,
Oh
funk,
God,
funk.
it's jazz!
Wait, you said it wasn't. Or they said it wasn't. So he's like telling the drums what to do.
Da 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 da.
the layers. I knew it was going to end in some crazy way. You can't end a crazy, insane track like that in a expected or common way, but as it got into the previous section, I really thought it was going to come to an end in some charismatic way, and then it just brought it back for another couple measures, and then ended not entirely dissimilar from how I expected, but in the moment, I wasn't ready for that. So, yeah, just unpredictable and insane from the beginning. I do enjoy... There's a method to the insanity, meaning I picked up pretty quickly that those vocals were presaging what we would then hear on the drums, and then it got to a point where the snare was smashing in conjunction with his vocalizations, but yes, whether it was the toms or the crash cymbal or indeed the snare, he was articulating vocally what the drums would do with his lead vocals, and yet there were two other layers. One, essentially the bass line, the din da da din doo doo, I forget what the back end of it was phonetically, but then there was like another layer that was setting the foundation of the track, and then his lead insane vocals over the top of that. Obviously we had some keyboard work too, although that seemed to be the only major instrument, like proper instrument part of the track, unless I'm mishearing or not remembering. But yes, I wonder, in the live performance videos I saw, I think there were a couple of them, there were a number of singers who were doing those vocals as instrument parts, but on the album here, I wonder whether that was all his vocals. I feel like that's probably likely. I'm sure Han Solo might have some insight here, or anybody else who does, feel free to comment, but yeah, it felt like a couple of those lower layers were the same voice, just slightly different, higher or lower in the vocal delivery or like register. But yes, I'm wondering if those were all his vocals. It's just insane. Like, it's someone who's not only experimenting, but doing so in a clever and indeed sort of methodical way, and doing something completely unlike anything else. Like, forget in '84, here in 2025, it's not like music you hear from other people, even people who are off the beaten path, even people who, as a band or as a solo artist make music that's like, oh, that's just their thing, that, they do that, no one else really does. I feel like even that description falls short of what I've heard from Kranz. Like, he's just in his own universe, like, forget own galaxy. So, yeah, it's wild, it's just insane and unpredictable, but it's fun and it's definitely unique. It's, something that he was forging his own path rather than just following trends of the day, shall we say. So, yeah, just crazy as I expected. Is it jazz? As I was maybe thinking, it wasn't a full song per se. It felt more like an interlude, more like a bit of comedy, and it seemed like it contradicted itself at the very end. Like, no, it's not jazz. It's funk. It's funk. It's funk. And then right at the end, it's jazz. So, yeah, that seemed like a bit of, a wink and a cheeky, like, side glance at or rather presaging the full and more experimental, more expansive Din Daa Daa. So, as I said, I wonder how that might differ from some other version of Din Daa Daa, but yeah, it's Kranz. What else can you say? It's George Kranz. So, once again, shout out to Han Solo for sharing it. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.